But there's a big difference between an additional merchant account and a backup merchant account. If you, if you already know kind of lesson 1 and 2 and you've thought about this stuff, a lot of people, their head is in the right place. They want to set up, an additional account as a backup. That's mission critical, and you're moving in the right direction, because like any other area of business, you need to have redundancy, right? We have insurance on our assets. In any case that we can, it's important to have a contingency plan, right? Merchant accounts are no different, but you have to make sure, and actually before I get into this, you have to make sure that you have the right account set up. So we'll assume right now that you're working with the right providers, and that's easy because EasyPay Direct, that's what we do, right? We connect with the right providers. So we'll assume that for the moment. But even if you're working with the right providers and you set up multiple accounts, you have to actively use the additional account. You can't have it just sit there. And that is a massive, massive, massive mistake that we see people make on a routine basis. They think, oh, okay, well, I've got a backup. That's my insurance. That's how I safeguard things. The problem with that is that if you have, account A that's processing volume, and let's say you're doing, $200,000 a month, $200,000 a month, $200,000 a month. Meanwhile, this other account that you set up as a backup is at 0, 0, 0, 0. If you run into a problem with your, merchant account A and it goes from 200 and you just turn it off, and then all of a sudden the dormant account starts doing 200 grand a month, the banks are going to freak out, right? It's immediately going to raise a flag, and they're going to say, oh, well, what's happening here? The most likely scenario is that they'll freeze your money immediately, or they'll impose probably a 10% reserve immediately, or they'll just close the account immediately. In any scenario, it's a terrible situation for you. So really, the EasyPay Direct Gateway was designed specifically to allow you to have multiple merchant accounts and shoot volume into them. Again, I can't underline enough, there's a really right way to do that and a really, really wrong way to do that. And that's such an important distinction that we have certified payment specialists that are assigned to all of our accounts to help facilitate and really manage that process so that they have guidance through it. Or we handle it for some people as well, but it really puts the control back, the tools and the certified payment specialists put the control back into the hands of the business owner so that you can facilitate this easily. When we run into people that already have additional merchant accounts, the number 2 challenges that we see are that they weren't set up the right way, and that's a huge one because it's very difficult to make sure that you've got the right banking partners in the back end. And then the other is that they're being overcharged. Really, really, really common because a lot of people, when they set up multiple merchant accounts, go to providers that call themselves high-risk providers. And usually what comes with high-risk providers or that label is an excuse to charge you higher rates. And sometimes it's necessary to charge a slightly higher rate, but man, there are a lot of people out there that gouge. So it's something definitely to be aware of when we see people that are already set up and running. That's something to assess. It's also obviously with EasyPay Direct, certified payment specialists are a single point of contact for you. So there's a way to have all your gateway questions, some of your shopping cart questions, all your merchant account questions with one point of contact. And the reality is that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or as a COO, you have better things to do than to call 4 different people to diagnose a refund issue or a chargeback issue, right? And one of the most frustrating things in the world as an entrepreneur is to call your shopping cart and for them to say, oh, no, that's a merchant account issue. And then to call your merchant account provider and then for them to say, no, that's a gateway issue. And then to call your gateway provider and then say, oh, no, it's a shopping cart issue. So having a certified payment specialist gives you one place to handle everything. And I think probably most importantly, we have an active management approach that allows them to have a holistic view of your whole business and your payment structure.